Doesn't look like anyone's on here. Maybe one person. Looks like there might be two people on. I don't know. This is the first time I've ever done this. Anybody see me at all? Yep, there's the two YouTube dudes off grid and outside comfort zone. Hey guys, how's it going? Wasn't sure if I was coming through or not. So welcome everyone. This is my first time ever doing a live feed, so be gentle on me. Off grid's about good. All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Looks like there's a few of you, which is awesome. Tonight, I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of a Q&A session, and then also, if anybody's interested, talk a little bit about what recently went down in my backyard of Yellowstone and the Beartooths. So, is there any interest in that, or do you guys just want to do Q&A? Awkward silences. Audio going up and down. I don't know how to even fix that. Maybe I'll do this. Does this help at all? As far as I can tell, the Bob did not have any issues. Most of the damage was located in and around the Yellowstone, Gallatin, Absaroka, and Beartooth areas. So, all right, cool. I hate those earbuds anyways. So yeah, so basically kind of what happened and the reason why it happened and the reason why it happened so fiercely fast was we had the perfect storm event weather-wise that kind of culminated in this. So all of our winter, we had a very low snowpack in the Beartooth and the Absaroka ranges. It was hovering right around 30% for most of the winter, which was really concerning to us throughout the year. Thanks. Thanks, Snackbox. And so it hovered in that right until we got into the spring. And in the springtime, we started getting a lot of unseasonably high amounts of rain down here in the valley, and a lot of snow up in the mountains. I was gonna like try to show maps and stuff, but it turns out I can't do that on my little section. So I tried to draw a map. This is gonna be terrible, but to give you an idea where we're at. So Yellowstone is down here. The Gallatin Range, oh, this is backwards, it's right there. Absaroka, Beartooth Mountain Range, Stillwater River, Rock Creek, Yellowstone River, and then way over here in Billings is where I live. So in the spring, about every week we were getting a new snow event in the mountains, which was culminating in a 5,000% increase in the snowpack for that time of year. So that's based off of average snowfalls for the time of year. So thanks, outside. So yeah, so basically we jumped up to an incredible amount of snow, and it was all wet, heavy snow. So that wet, heavy snow basically started to accumulate and was just waiting for a reason to turn into water. If you know anything about the wet, heavy springtime snow, it doesn't have the time to stratify like the rest of the snow over the winter does. And so it's just really looking for an excuse to basically turn into water. And that's what happened. So the week or the day before that the flooding occurred, we had a very warm, unseasonably warm snow or rain event come through, and it rained up in the mountains. And rain will melt snow 5 times faster than the sun will. And so what happened is that rain comes in there and it falls on it, and the sun, as it heats up the snow, it kind of creates a crust and it kind of insulates itself. Whereas the rain can just basically penetrate through that and it turns all of that stuff into water. So that warm seasonable rain went through, melted out the feet of warm snow, or I'm sorry, wet snow that was up there, and gravity took control, and that's what led to the destruction. And not the conspiracy theories that I've actually heard about the government creating the flood. It was all science and gravity and heat and a little bit of rain. And so what happened was these mountain streams basically flash flooded. So, and the other thing that kind of adds to this is the carrying capacity. So Montana is generally a very arid, semi-dry kind of atmosphere. And so it can only take so much rain and so much runoff at any given point before it starts to get inundated. And that's what kind of happened. Yes, the COVID vaccine definitely caused the flood. Yeah. Also space lasers. So basically what we were looking at was some of the numbers that we saw. So the U.S. Geological Survey gauge at the Yellowstone at Corwin Springs, which is near the north entrance of the park, which is where probably the most heavily damaged area was, registered a record volume of 49,400 cubic feet per second of water at 2 p.m. at the high point of the event, which more than doubled the previous record. The Rock Creek, which is the one that did all the damage down in the Red Lodge area, which is an area that I personally really love. Its gauge actually was destroyed by the flood, and its last reading was at 9:15 a.m. And at that point, it was 8.5 feet above the previous record being 7.8 feet above in 2011. The Stillwater, which was the river that was highlighted in the last video I did for our overnight just the weekend before this happened, which was already raging at that time, it actually doubled its previous record. The previous record being 12,000 CFS, and this event it was flowing at 23,900 CFS, and exceeded the 7.5 flood threshold by 2.5 feet. And then here in Billings, we weren't as affected by it because by the time the Yellowstone gets into the valley, it has a much larger area to take up. Most of these were happening in the small channeled areas. And but even here, we had a record high. The previous record, I think, was somewhere around 15 feet. And this time we almost made it up to 17 feet above flood stage. So we had some moderate flooding here, and our water plant had to be shut down for 24 hours, and people were buying water like it was Armageddon. But yeah, so what all that means is that basically overnight, the rivers doubled in their flow rate. And because in most of the mountainous areas, the only place really to build roads and towns is along the rivers and in the floodplain areas. And so it just kind of came through like a wrecking ball. So yeah, same here. SoCal fire seasons, lead rains, mudslide almost yearly. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, actually, Dave, I'm going to talk here in a second about the recovery efforts. But first, I wanted to touch a little bit on some of the damage we saw. Let's start the guessing. 8 years total. Well, we'll see. Yeah, so basically what we're looking at damage wise was first off, I'll talk about the Stillwater. That trailhead that I hiked the weekend before, it was cut off. The road was actually washed out by that Stillwater just past the trailhead there, and it actually cut off the mine that is there. And they had to evacuate 65 to 80 campers in the area. In fact, their vehicles and camping RVs are still at the campground. That particular area did not flood, but it was cut off by the road, so they had to be taken out by raft. Rock Creek jumped out of its banks just north, or I'm sorry, yeah, just north of Red Lodge, south of Red Lodge, going into Red Lodge, and right where the West Fork and the Lake Fork converge. Those are the two main forks of the river that go through the Beartooth mountain range, and they got pounded right there. The road washed out. They lost 6 bridges, and their main street actually became part of the river for a while and deposited several tons of river rock directly onto the road. And then, of course, the north entrance to the national park, to Yellowstone, Gardner is completely cut off right now, except for a access road that they opened up going through the north part of the park, which is currently only open to the residents of that city. But the Yellowstone River, there's a valley or a gorge that it goes through right before Gardner, and it took out the road in multiple places along there. And then there were 6 or 7 spots along the north entrance up to Mammoth Hot Springs area. And currently the estimation is that the national park will probably no longer use that entrance, that they will move it to that old road, and that gorge will no longer be accessible. So yeah, Gardner was completely cut off. And then in the northeast entrance of the park, there are several sections of the Yellowstone that washed out the Lamar Valley. So the Lamar Valley has the most damage in Yellowstone, and it's completely cut off right now. The town of Silvergate and Cook City, which are along that, and the Beartooth Pass, they were momentarily cut off. They are now back open. Temporarily, they've been able to fix some of the bridges there as well. The Beartooth Pass is closed, and it has 6 areas of washout, all of them on the Montana side, just outside of Red Lodge. And they're actually thinking that's going to be fairly quick to fix. Originally, they were estimating that could take up to 2 years, but they now believe they'll be able to get the Beartooth Pass open before the end of the season. However, it's unknown how long it's going to take the northern part of the park to get fixed. So yeah, you would think it would take that long. Yeah, I don't know. The bridges, they've all been inspected. There were some that got washed out that probably needed to be replaced a long time ago. But yeah, the bridges in Red Lodge are gone for the most part, at least on the other side of Rock Creek. The ones that are on the Beartooth Pass are pretty stout, and they have been inspected, and they have been certified. So I know that you can get to Cook City through Chief Joseph Pass. And supposedly they're all in usable order. So I wouldn't want to take anything large over them, though. Yes, Tags and Trails, nature does always win in the end, and it definitely won in this case. Off-grid, any devastation to the wildlife. Nothing in large terms, although they are seeing a lot more incidences of bears and other moose and stuff in town. They're definitely displaced by a lot of stuff. We actually don't know yet what the damage is in the backcountry because they've been focusing all of their efforts on the front country, trying to get the trailheads open. So we don't even know what the trail conditions are. And that's part of the reason why Custer-Gallatin National Forest is completely closed right now until the 24th. So yeah, currently there's 3 major areas right now that are dealing with recovery efforts right now. The first one is the Custer-Gallatin National Forest as a whole, which comprises primarily the Absaroka Mountains and the Beartooth Mountains. And as of right now, the National Forest is basically closed access to all national forest lands. So all campgrounds, trails, any other things are completely off limits at this time. And that's to give them an opportunity to evaluate kind of what's happened back there. My guess is some of the most popular trails back there all run along creeks, especially like the Lake Fork and the West Fork. And most of those trails are probably going to have to be rerouted. And any bridges that are on them are probably gone. So the trails are probably going to be the last thing that gets taken care of. So it could be a long time before we're able to get back into some of that backcountry access, which is part of the reason why the Custer-Gallatin has basically been closed off, except for the Bozeman Ranger District, which of course is around Bozeman. It is still accessible. But the next one, of course, is the Beartooth Highway, Highway 212 or the Beartooth Pass. It runs primarily from Red Lodge up through Cook City into the northeast entrance of the park. And it is washed out in no less than 6 places, all of them being before you head up onto the pass. So they're on the Montana side. So basically between Red Lodge and we call Vista Point, which is the first major landmark on the pass. And it sounded like initially it was going to take a really long time to fix. However, it sounds like, it may take a couple of months, but they're optimistic they'll be able to get it done before the season's over. If you want to see what the Beartooth Highway looks like, if you go to the Montana Department of Transportation's YouTube channel, they have drone footage of the damage to that area. It's pretty exciting. I was going to show it, but I can't because of StreamYard. But yeah, hopefully that one will open up soon. The one that's constantly changing right now is Yellowstone itself. So before they had projected that they were going to open the southern loop, which comprises the southern entrance. So the eastern entrance of Cody, the entrance to down by Jackson Hole and all those were going to be opened and put onto a registration system. So reservation system, because they were not going to be able to have the same carrying capacity. However, they did just announce this the other day that they are expecting parts of the northern loop to open up in the next couple of weeks. So we'll have to see what that looks like. Apparently that's being pushed forward by towns like Gardner and West Yellowstone, who have been hit really hard over the last couple of years with the pandemic. And they're very heavily dependent on tourist dollars. And so they have lobbied the National Park Service to try to open up some of those a little bit earlier. My guess is Lamar Valley will probably continue to stay closed because it's been trashed. And I have a feeling that's going to be that way for at least a couple of years. And the current drive from Gardner up into Mammoth, I don't foresee that actually opening up ever again. They do have a secondary road. It's the old road that was there before they put that road in. And I have a feeling they're just going to switch over to that, because from the video footage I saw, not only was part of the road, the whole road base was gone, and then part of the hillsides were gone. And they'd have to go in and completely regrade that area just to try to make it stable again. And I just don't foresee them doing that, unfortunately. That also means that a popular spot has also probably been wiped off the face of the planet, which is Boiling River. It's right there on the Gallatin River, and I just have a feeling that anything that was there is going to be gone now. So, yeah, Girl Plus Dog, that's definitely happening. Actually, I had a friend who was supposed to come to Yellowstone this week. He's going out to Yosemite. And we've been taking a lot of phone calls from people at the shop, people asking about how far it is to go to Glacier. And most of them are rather surprised to learn that Glacier is an additional 8-hour drive from where we are at. So I would imagine, yeah, probably they're going to be going to some other places. Damn you, Copenhagen. Damn you, Copenhagen. So what does that mean, Dave? So anyways, that's all I've got right now. Right now, a lot of our communities are kind of, feeling the effects of it. Red Lodge got hit really hard. Gardner obviously got hit pretty bad, being cut off for several days. But also the towns of Nye, Absaroka, not to be confused with Absaroka, Fishtail, Woodbine, basically all those towns have lost houses, roads. But Montana is pretty tough, and we will bounce back pretty quickly. Most of, I think, the damage will be probably taken care of by the end of the summer, because we're really good at getting construction projects done in the summer because we can't do any of them in the winter anyways. And we also have federal disaster relief in now. So hopefully things will pick up pretty soon. But I would imagine some of that damage is going to be 2 to 3 years out before it's able to be repaired. Not yet. I didn't. I just mentioned that. Yeah. So they did declare it a federal disaster area. So they are releasing quite a bit of money to that. I think Yellowstone is receiving something like $80 million or something for emergency repair work. And that was a big reason why I think that they did make the decision to open up a little bit earlier, because I think they are going to get some abilities to I couldn't resist. To try to get some of those things fixed up. So that'll be helpful. Plus, they'll be able to contract it out, so it won't be the National Park Service themselves doing it. So, yeah, tangent trails. I do think you'll see a little bit more. Although right now we were already concerned about the season because of gas prices. Because Montana is, in case you didn't know, Montana is huge. It takes almost 20 hours just to drive across the state, and we've already seen a lot less people than normal. So it's kind of combating things there, I think, unfortunately. Good idea for nonprofit could donate if you wanted to help. If you wanted to donate to something for like the local lands, of course, the federal lands, they're going to be pretty well taken care of. But I do know, like, the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness Foundation, they're definitely somebody who could probably use a little bit of help. They actually had quite a bit of damage. Their office was located in Red Lodge, and although they did not have any damage to their office, they did lose some of their items, and they primarily help the National Forest to kind of do a lot of trail maintenance and stuff. And so my guess is that they're going to be really heavily involved in some of the recovery efforts. So they would probably be the one that I would recommend pretty much off the top of my head as a good one. Wild Montana, I think, will also be involved in it. That's kind of the Montana Wilderness Society here. And I do know that there's several GoFundMes that have been set up for like around the Red Lodge area to help some of the people that, had literally a river running through their house at one point. So those would probably be the best ones. I honestly haven't really looked into it beyond those. But I've made a donation to the AB Wilderness Foundation. I heard that too. He just loves those duplex. Money is just no object to him, and he just wants to make sure that Everybody has a duplex. He must have taken off. He is abnormally quiet for the moment. So that's all I have. If there's any other questions or any questions in general you guys have, I wasn't planning on this being super long. I actually wasn't expecting as many people to come out, so I appreciate that. It says there's 7, but I've only heard from a few people, so I have no idea who the other ones are. So throw a question on there. Let me know who's there. Zippers are hard to figure out. So, it's easy to get stuck in those. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I was just going to do some practice, and I can tell I need some more practice, but hopefully get there pretty quickly. But I also thought it was important to kind of get some of that information out there. There's a lot of misinformation and a lot of weird stuff that I've seen. The weirdest comment that I saw on the National Park Service's feeds was somebody who was concerned that the floods were going to disrupt the filming of the show Yellowstone, which incidentally doesn't even occur in Yellowstone. But yeah, it was pretty disheartening to see that somebody's main concern was a TV show. Was Off-Grid here to see the ticker, or is he just smiling? Because I can bring that one back up because I don't want him to feel left out. So, because we all heard you really love those Z-Packs tents, Off-Grid. Well, that's all I have. Unless you guys have any other questions, I guess I'll go ahead and sign off. We did about almost a half an hour, so that's not too bad. I hope the information was worthwhile and not totally for loss. I had to do it Off-Grid. I just had to. But I'll let Snackbox tell you his ticker. But yeah, gotta make fun of the YouTube dudes. So anyways, I hope everybody has a great night, and hope you guys get out on the trail soon. Hope Girl Plus Dog is enjoying her trip up to Alaska. Sure you were, Dave. All right, thanks again, guys, and I'm going to take it easy and enjoy some wine. Bye, everybody.